Sides, huh?
I can hit from both sides of the plate.
All right.
Left hand and right hand, just like Pete Rose.
Good morning. I'm thankful for you being here. All right. Last month, we saw something in one of our committees that should be celebrated. And in areas that I believe both sides have done well, I want to call them out. Members of the Energy and Commerce Committee voted on 3 health care bills that received unanimous support. Every member, both Republican and Democrat, agreed on legislation that would remove barriers to generic drugs entering the market and would improve the quality of delivery of prescription drugs. Patients nationwide would see benefit from the increased competition and greater options. Those same provisions are up for vote today, and up until yesterday, it would have been a very positive moment of bipartisanship in this House. But something changed. Sadly, the Democrat majority added partisan poison pills to try bail out pieces of the Affordable Care Act. They took a situation where we found common ground on drug pricing and transparency, voted unanimously, worked together in committee on 3 bills that would be brought to the floor on those 3 by themselves that become law. But before they came to the floor, they put poison pills in it, dealing with the Affordable Care Act. We have differences of opinion, I understand that. But in this provision that they added, the CBO says 1.5 million Americans will lose their preferred health care plan under the Democrats' proposal. So they add a poison pill that will take 1.5 million Americans' health care plan away from them onto 3 bills that were unanimous. It really says something about whether you're serious about solving a problem or not. This isn't the only time this is taken up. If you look at Ways and Means, the Secure Act came out of Ways and Means with a unanimous support. But the majority is breaking the deal by removing the ability of families to use their own hard-earned money in their 529 accounts to pay for education expenses for their children. So here again we have another bill dealing with an issue that Americans are caring most about, the retirement, security, and it came out unanimously. But before it gets to the floor, the Democrat leadership changes the agreement that was in committee that brought everybody together to find compromise and put politics before people. That is not what the American people are looking for. That's what they're fighting to change. Another item I'd like to bring up to you that I thought was very interesting. Yesterday, I'd point you to a hearing they had in Judiciary, and Kelly Armstrong asked a Democrat witness during the hearing if A.G. Barr would have broken the law if he agreed with Chairman Nadler's subpoena. You know what the answer was from the Democrat witness? Yes. He would break the law if he followed through on the subpoena. Again, here we go with Chairman Nadler trying to ask the Attorney General a simple question. Will you uphold the rule of law or will you be held in contempt? I think it's a little telling why that is not on the floor this week. Because if it comes to the floor, I think it not only would be an embarrassment to the Democrats, it will be an embarrassment to this House. Every member in the House should be asked the exact same question that witness was asked. The subpoena that you sent to the Attorney General would have to break the law or you hold him in contempt. What would you have done? I would expect the Attorney General to uphold the rule of law. Other than that, let's get to questions, because I know you've been waiting so long for it. You didn't even hear the beginning. You don't get to go first.
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. On Iran, there seems to be some divides in the administration about Iran and how to proceed. The Speaker, when she was here a few moments ago, said the President seems to have no appetite for that. There's concern about whether or not there would be authorization. What's the right approach here? And if there were to be military action, should there be brand new AUMF that's specific to Iran?
Well, I wasn't here for what the speaker said, so I'm not quite sure what she knows is the president's appetite. What I do know is the actions that this administration has taken. Now, first of all, we look at what has happened in the Middle East to some Saudi Arabia tankers. We do know now the drones attacking pipelines. We do know the rhetoric of what Iran has been saying. And now we also see the administration take the forward look to remove Americans out of Iraq in harm's way. I think any action this administration takes will be thoughtful, will look through, and will be in consultation with the House and the Senate.
The consultation is different than an AUMF. We've had these things under the War Powers Resolution notifying.
Yeah, but there's no action that's being taken. So you're putting a hypothetical out there. What has transpired today is the administration is trying to make sure there is not. It's sending a very clear message to Iran. B-52s are being sent there, aircraft carriers. And why would you do that? Based upon, imagine the intel that they got, and you can look at tankers that have been attacked. You can look at pipelines that have been attacked by drones. You can take the rhetoric of exactly what Iran has been saying. So I think the administration is taking actions to make sure that question is not raised. Yes.
I apologize.
You want me to recant everything I said?
Okay, thank you very much. Alabama just passed possibly the most restrictive abortion law in the country. Do you think that law goes too far?
It goes further than I believe, yes. I believe first of all, I believe the most precious gift God gives us is life. And I defend my pro-life position for my whole political career. But in my whole political career, I also believed in rape, incest, or life of the mother. There was exceptions. That's exactly what Republicans have voted on in this House. That's what our platform says. And I believe that's the point of what you find many of us of where we stand. Yes, sir. Smile. Be happy.
In that vein, you've tried to link Washington Democrats to some of the most liberal elements of their party on abortion legislation.
Yes, and I've watched them not stand up against infanticide. I've watched them in a floor, but let me let you finish your question.
Do you think that people on your side of the aisle up here should be linked with things such as the Alabama abortion law or other laws like the 6-week laws in so many states?
I think people should show where they stand and put their own actions with their own words. If Democrats do not believe in infanticide, if they believe the comments of the governor of Virginia or the actions of New York, they have an ability to do something about it. They can sign a discharge petition and protect a baby surviving abortion and born alive. That's the question before them, and that's actually inside the House. So if you want to be fair in the process, you can look at my votes. You can look at where I stand. I'm pro-life. I believe in the sanctity of life. That same point that I've always said, I believe in exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother, and that's what I voted on. Democrats say one thing, but will not sign to protect a child that is born alive. I would not think you have to have that legislation. So if you want to compare the two, they have the ability to stand and show what they say they stand for and actually sign a discharge petition and prove it. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question on trade, but just to clarify
Please.
on the Alabama thing.
Yes. I haven't read Alabama's law yet, so I might not get it 100% correct.
Would you like to see the court strike down that Alabama law?
Look, I'm not an attorney. I'm not on the Supreme Court. I'll have them look at it. I'm sure it'll. If you listen to, if I caught a clip of an interview of the author, I think his point was to try to get it to the court. I think he said the individual tried to make it to an extreme position to try to make a debate inside the court, so I'll let the court make that decision.
On
Trade, yes.
Lighthizer was up here yesterday meeting with Democrats, trying to see if they can advance that. Democrats are seeking enforceable provisions in the trade deal for labor, for the environment, and on prescription drugs. I just wonder, on the Republican side of this, are you willing to negotiate on some of these Democratic demands in order to try and get this done?
Look, we want to get this done, and why do you want to get it done? More jobs for America. more growth economically. It modernizes the NAFTA agreement. It makes America stronger. The things that Democrats have asked for prior, they wanted to hold Mexico labor laws up. They wanted them to pass legislation. This is what they asked for in the negotiation. What took place just last week? Mexico passed in their Senate their labor laws. So are the Democrats changing what they want now? I think it's now the opportunity is to vote on this and move this forward to make America stronger. I don't know that they have to have more negotiations because the negotiations were ahead of time. You had the two countries along with ours combined together to be able to sign it. I think if there are off agreements, they can get to that point. But I don't believe you should keep moving the goalpost just because you don't want to vote on something that would make America stronger. Yes.
The Republican Party's always been, or labeled itself as a family values party.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about the president's immigration proposal where he puts degrees and grades ahead of family reunification? Are the Republicans in the House going to approve it and agree with it?
Well, have you read the proposal?
They have said.
But have you read the proposal?
No. I
Okay,
have not.
so let's take the premise of your question first, because I had sat down with Jared. There's family reunification in there. There is the need and the whole section to divide to bring a family together in immigration. Our immigration system is broken. You're watching right now what is happening along the border. I've been to the border. I've seen children come by themselves across. I've seen children handed to other families coming across. I've watched everybody in this country understand the crisis that is happening on this border. Even the New York Times editorialized about this. The only people who believe there's not a crisis is the majority party here, the Democrats, that won't let us take action. Just last week, and it goes to the premise of your question, if the Republican Party believes in helping families, we put a motion to recommit to provide the money for the children and the families on the border. Now, you don't have to read anything about it. You could go watch it. The Democrats voted no, and the Republicans voted yes. So again, sometimes people say things they might not mean because they don't take the actions. Republicans back up the actions by making sure families are reunited, making sure that we have resources to care for these children that don't have families that are sitting along the border as well. It was the Democrats who voted no. So I look forward to you asking them that question. Yes.
Do you really believe that something on immigration can get done in this election cycle, or is the president simply putting forth a messaging bill?
No, I think what the president is putting forward is it's not the complete immigration bill, but it's a very good start and it's the base where people can work from. But the crisis we have today, we got to solve the loophole problems that are going down along the border. I think that would be one element. We tried to get immigration reform done, as you know, earlier this year. Unfortunately, Speaker Pelosi declined doing anything with the DACA population. The president was prepared to make that happen. I've watched the president in his State of the Union go further than almost any president on any side of the aisle on where he would go on immigration as well. As you know, when we were in the majority, we put 2 bills on the floor. Overall immigration reform came very close to getting them passed. Unfortunately, not one Democrat voted for it. So it goes to the premise of your question. Are they serious about solving immigration, or do they want to keep it just as a political decision? Now, I would hope that would not be true. But when I look what we're voting on this week, that even though, let's say this, that we get a bill out of, immigration bill out of committee, much like we've got a prescription drug bill out of committee that would lower the price and give more options, and we were able to come to an agreement and debate and find common ground and have all the Republicans and all the Democrats vote for it. But before it got to the floor, you'd put a poison pill in it. Maybe it was just that one time. Maybe they just had a bad day. But lo and behold, we were able to do something like that inside Ways and Means as well. The Secure Act, where we could deal with people's retirement and find common ground on both sides. And it came out of committee with all the Republicans and all the Democrats. Oh, but before it goes to the floor, we're going to change it for political reasons too. So your question to me is, can we get it done? If they continue the behavior of what they're doing now, putting politics before people, the answer would be no. But I am willing to work with anybody that wants to solve this immigration problem.
What do you think is the next step for Congress after the president gives his speech? Do you put together a working group, or is it just a speech?
It's not just a speech. The president is the individual, the only one I know that continues to offer ideas on solving immigration. As I sat in the Situation Room in the White House during the shutdown, and we had many discussions about this, the answer we always got from the Speaker of the House was, I can't talk about that until government's open. Even though this is the same Speaker when she was the minority leader that holds the record in the House for the longest speech ever given. And it was just roughly over a year ago, and it was all about DACA. So the moment and chance that she had the opportunity to solve the problem that she stayed on the floor to speak the longest about and to shut the government down over, she declined the opportunity to solve it. So it does raise the question, does she want to solve the problem? Some people sometimes want to keep a problem out there. Yes.
You were extremely critical last week of Judiciary Chairman Nadler for
I still am.
subpoena for the
The witnesses are too now, yeah.
without having read the less redacted version that DOJ was offering.
Yeah, did he read it?
Sorry?
Has he read it now?
Not to my knowledge.
So
but
I'm in the same
neither
position.
has Ranking Member Nunes, who also issued a demand to the Justice Department.
Did his staff read it?
The entire thing. Staff is not allowed to go read it without a member, so what's your response?
No, that's not
to
true.
Ranking Member Nunes going to read the report, not going to read the report while still
I
debating?
still have the same position. Okay. So you want to equate Devin Nunes with Nadler.
Well, they're asking for the same thing, and they both.
They're not asking for the same thing. Is a subpoena the same thing as a letter?
It's not the same thing as a letter, but. he
Okay,
said in
okay,
the
so
letter that he
so we,
sent out to
so
that
we
he
got that
will
premise.
follow
It's not the same thing as a letter. Nunes is not holding Barr in contempt. I think the same position I had before. If Nadler is so concerned, and if you watch the history of being in these positions before, such as a committee concerned about an Attorney General Holder, that ended up having a contempt vote more than a year later of working with them, and having it a bipartisan vote where Democrats voted with it, what did Chairman Nadler at that moment do? He was strong. He stood up for his members because he ran out of the chambers, and he was proud. He tweeted about it. He would not stay in there and debate. He left. Now we have witnesses, a Democrat witness that is asked to come to the committee just this week. They're legal experts. So she was asked in this subpoena written by Chairman Nadler to Attorney General Barr, would the Attorney General have to break the law? Yes, the answer was. Not by a Republican witness, but by the Democrat witness asked to come from a committee he chairs. So no, it's not just me. I think it's the legal community. I think it's from the individuals and the members that I hear on both sides of the aisle who come to me based upon the way he even carries out his committee. That he carries it without a quorum. He won't listen to individuals when they make a motion. He demeans an individual just because he disagrees with what they offer. That is not being a chairman of a committee. That's a problem that I have with, besides the fact that I think he's handling it all wrong. And let me phrase back to you. If the Democrats believed in what Chairman Nadler was doing and thought it was such a strong idea, why don't they bring it to the floor? Why don't they bring the contempt vote to the floor? When their own witnesses said you would ask the Attorney General to break the law. Why don't they bring that to the floor and have their members vote for contempt because the Attorney General won't break the law? So yes, I am still upset with Chairman Nadler for many reasons, and that has not changed. And if he cares so deeply to go this far for a subpoena, he can walk himself down to the skiff and read the less than 2%, the 6 lines that he will not read when he has the right to do it. I think that's being honest.
Should you take Chairman Nunes with you?
Yes.
Will there be some money for the problems, to address the problems at the border in the disaster relief bill?
That's a great question. And if I was Speaker, the answer would be 100% yes. Now, as Republican leader, I don't have a lot of options on the floor. But I have one option, the motion to recommit. And you know what I did? We took that one option to offer that. Because when it comes to a disaster bill and an emergency bill, we tried to put it in there. Congressman Hurd, he has the most border of any member in Congress. He offered that amendment. But the chair of that committee said, no, they can't deal with it. Well, that's what you deal with an emergency. So we offered it on the floor to give everybody an opportunity. Interesting, though, The majority of Democrats said no.
But you said last week you thought that was the disaster relief bill was going to be settled perhaps this week. Where does that stand?
Great question. So the Republicans have gotten together. Last week, we sent to the Democrat appropriations a whole option of what we thought of an idea of a bill. I got good response back from them, said this was a very honest offer. This is some very good points in it, and I have been waiting for the Democrats to offer something back. I have spoken to Steny Hoyer. I have spoken to Mr. Clyburn. I have spoken to the Speaker. I would like to get this done. The only people who are hurting are those who are sitting in the disaster. The will here is great to solve this problem. I would like to have got it done this week. So an offer has been sitting there more than a week. I haven't heard anything back. I have gone back to them and told them in a very serious manner that I would like to make sure we solve this problem, and I'm more than willing to work through the night or any day, and that my commitment is there that we can get this done together.
Did that offer include money for Puerto Rico?
Yes, it did.
And are you confident the president would sign a bill that had money for Puerto Rico in it?
Yes. I've spoken to the president about this. I've spoken to him on what our offer is. It has to be overall. We have a lot of problems. We had disasters. We have an emergency along the border. We have others. There is in our ability to get this done. Put our partisanship aside. When people are in a disaster, it doesn't matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, Green Party, or anything else. This is the moment government should help. And putting these poison pills, I go back, they're doing it to lowering drug price. They put a poison pill, and the poison pill is to take 1.5 million Americans' health care plan away from them. That's not my numbers, that's a CBO. Then the idea of a retirement to help people to save for their children's school, oh, let's take that out. Because we have a new Democratic Party that we don't all agree. So even though the committee did the work, and even though it voted 100% on both sides, no, leadership decides. And we're going to make it partisan. Last question, yes.
On USMCA, the original NAFTA vote, dozens of Republicans voted against it. Are y'all to the point yet where you're whipping and finding out, are there any Republicans that are not ready to support USMCA? And have you heard from Lighthizer on the implementing bill, whether he's listening to you? There was a letter saying, please don't lower de minimis. And TO, we made it clear we want de minimis at 80.
Look, we meet with Lighthizer, we meet with our members, but the only time, it doesn't matter whether this bill or anything else, we don't start whipping till a bill is going to be scheduled. And the person who determines that is the Speaker. I think it's time to vote on it. I think any time you have legislation sitting before you that would make your country stronger, improve your economy, and actually get the requests you made, the Mexico changed their labor laws, and what you requested before you could vote on it actually happens, I now think you should actually keep your word and do what you said you would do. Just schedule the vote.
Has Lighthizer spoken about de minimis, of whether that's going to be in implementing, trying to lower de minimis to match Mexico and Canada?
That's a question for him, of where you'd see, but no bill has been scheduled yet. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you coming.